Hey there, YouTube. Santee from the Arizona Ghostriders here. Today I'm going to tell you about the Gunfighter. This is an interesting one because most of what modern culture considers the Western genre has a gunfighter in it. Two men facing off in a dusty street. Whichever one pulls his gun the fastest is the winner, because in a gunfight, there is no second place. Alright, I'm not going to get into whether or not things like that actually happened in the Old West. That's something for another episode. What we are going to talk about is the origin of the gunfighter. Where did he come from? Why did he do what he did? So, let's investigate.
It is said that the term gunfighter appears in newspapers as far back as the 1870s. My research has turned up instances as early as 1882. However, I haven't utilized all the research options available. More prevalent were the titles shootist, gunman, pistolier, and gun-tater. Wait a minute, let me get my glasses. Gun-toter, sorry about that. You know, it doesn't really matter what they were called. The one thing all these men had in common is that they made their living with a gun. Let's investigate how that came to be. To fully understand the origin of the gunfighter, we must go back to the Paleolithic Age.
Too far back? How about the Civil War? Let's go there.
Not only did the Civil War destroy families, but it decimated thousands of homes and land. After the treaty between the North and the South was signed, some war-hardened veterans turned to the skill that they had learned so well.
The outlaw, the lawman, the hired gun, all jobs where men had to actually use a gun to get the job done. These jobs are somewhat interchangeable too. Some lawmen were outlaws, some outlaws were lawmen. The hired guns were the ones that rode the fence between the two. Many of these men were motivated by money or prestige. Others were motivated by desperation, and, well, some were just psychopathic. So,
the whole storyline of the ranchers battling it out over water rights or grazing land was a real thing. Many ranchers hired gunmen to do their dirty work. The Johnson County War, the Pleasant Valley War, the Lincoln County War, the Sutton-Taylor feud, all of these disagreements involved notorious gunmen like Tom Horn, Commodore Perry Owens, John Wesley Hardin, Frank Canton, and Billy the Kid. Hey, what is this photo doing here? It doesn't belong here.
Now, the gunfighters were also carrying human beings. They weren't all bad. Many of them had families. They had wives to go to. They had children to raise. They weren't just running around all the time shooting people. Isn't that right, buddy? Isn't that right?
Thanks to the magic of cinema, the gunfighter has been immortalized as an iconic Western figure. They save whole towns from evildoers or simply face off against another pistolier to win the lady.
This was the gunfighter's tool. He knew it inside and out. He cleaned it religiously. He kept it tuned up and ready for action because this was the way he made a living. Just like a carpenter knows his hammer and his screwdrivers, the gunfighter knew this. Men who chose to carry firearms for a living had a large assortment of models and types to choose from. Brands like Colt, Smith & Wesson, Remington. These were all very popular, and some of them were more expensive than others. It just depended on what the gunfighter wanted to carry.
Modern-day gunfighters no longer test their mettle on a dusty street. Instead, they find themselves using their six guns for hobbies, like cowboy action shooting and fast draw. It's all to honor the spirit of the West and the silver screen cowboys that shaped our ideas of what a hero means. No fair! Well, folks, I hope that gives you a little insight to the gunfighters of the 1800s. We're going to be looking more in depth about the gunfighter and some of the other iconic Western characters in future episodes. I also expect to do a Dressing the Part episode on the gunfighter. That'll be coming up in the future. But for right now, thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on down the trail.